Hi everybody, it's Tatiana, and today I'm coming to do my wrap-up for December 2017. I am going to try and make this go by quickly because my battery indicator is blinking. Unfortunately, I don't have a couple of the books with me because I borrowed them from the library either in physical form or on Overdrive. So yeah, let's get started. I'm going to share the books that I finished that I owned first. And the first one that I'm sharing is The Fate of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. Guys, this was so disappointing. At first I was frustrated because of what the ending of this series meant for some other things that took place in the book. But then the more that I thought about it, the more disappointed I was because of what the ending in this did for some of the other things that happened in the book. I am so not happy. As much as the ending disappointed me, I do have to say I still enjoyed reading the story because by the time you get to the third book in a trilogy where every book is like over 400 pages, yeah, you get connected to the characters themselves. So the connection to the characters and wanting to know what happened to the characters is what gave me some kind of appreciation for the ending of this series. But as far as the story of it goes, this was very, very disappointing. That's all I can say about that. Thankfully, that was the first book that I read in December, and the other three books that I read were not that disappointing. The other book that I read that I own is Like a River Glorious by Rae Carson. This is the second book in the Gold Seer trilogy. I'm reading the third book now, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm learning as I read Rae Carson, and I've read so many of her books so close together. I'm learning how she writes and the way her story goes. And so in knowing that, there's a part of me that wants to just like speed through some of the stuff because I know on the other end there's the better that needs to be reached, but you can't skip that. You can't skip the bad to get to the better without missing a significant part of, a significant portion of the story and a significant portion of the main character's development. So, yeah, now that I understand how she writes this, it's just like literally biting my nails and biding my time until I get over the bad humps in the story. And there are multiple bad humps in her stories. It's like when you think that good is there, something else happens to throw everything out of whack. So I really enjoyed this. After I finished this, I was like, well, this, like, why doesn't the story end here? Why doesn't it end here? And I've started book 3, and now I know why it doesn't end here. Because humps and a bump. Humps and a bump. She writes books with humps and a bump. The other 2 books that I read in the month of December I don't own. I read The Arab of the Future Part 2. And I had some major issues with part 1 that I kind of had some resolution towards in part 2. My main issue that I had with it was the portrayal of Satuf's father and like understanding that he's telling this story as he understood it as a child, but then knowing you're an adult when you're writing this. And so, like, thinking in my head that there should be some room for adult reconciliation and observation or understanding to be inserted into, like, the asides that are put in the little boxes in the story. And again, because I don't read a lot of nonfiction, and graphic novel nonfiction is really the way to go for me, I sometimes have a problem with that. Because, I mean, all of us have stories about our parents or grandparents that just don't paint them in good light whatsoever, but there is hopefully reconciliation and things that we think about and come to understand as adults that help us not to greenlight whatever they did or whatever they said, but to not think of it in such a negative way. And the first part of that book just seethed negativity to me as far as his relationship between and his understanding of his father. And he may still have those issues today. I don't know. We'll see what part 3 brings about once that is released in English. But after reading part 2, I was able to really see what Sattouf was was doing with the story that he was telling. And I was able to appreciate that more. So the problems that I had with The Arab of the Future Part 1 kind of went down as I read Part 2. So that's a good thing. And I am looking forward to reading Part 3. I don't know if I'm going to be on the same train as Dee Dee from Brown Girl Reading, who says that this is her most favorite graphic novel series that she's read. That's probably not going to be me, which is fine because we have 2 completely different reading tastes. But yeah, I did enjoy part 2. And then the final book that I completed in December of last year was The Bitter Kingdom by Rae Carson, and I enjoyed that series. That's the 3rd book in the Girl of Fire and Thorns trilogy, and I really enjoyed that. I'm surprised how much I enjoyed it, and I did not enjoy the ending of that, but it wasn't because of how the book was written. It's explained in the book, but there's like this whole mission and message that Kelsey, that's the girl from Queen of the Tearling. Oh, crud. I'm totally spacing on the main character's name. But there's this mission that she's on as the trilogy progresses, and it's because of all of this build-up and mystery that's behind the jewel that she was born with in her belly button. And so when that actually comes to fruition and they see what it actually is, it's kind of a little anticlimactic, but that's also part of the message behind the story. So it was a little disappointing, but it had a purpose in what it was. So yeah, I really enjoyed that series. Rae Carson is okay in my book so far. Yeah, so that's everything that I read in December of 2017, and I hope you all had a good Christmas and good New Year's. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a good weekend whenever you see this video.